Good morning, Patriots. We're back with another episode of the Bald Brad Show. And we're looking at updates regarding Donald Trump's lawsuit with the BBC because it's no longer $5 billion. Oh, no. We got updates on that one. More revelations on Mar-a-Lago raid and Michigan's sweeping athletics probe. Hit that like button if you haven't already, folks. Always appreciate you. What that does is it really shows engagement with the channel, and it pushes our channel out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel, which helps us grow here. Your help would be greatly appreciated. Well, this story that we're about to talk about, which is to give you up some updates, is not just about Donald Trump suing the BBC. It's way bigger, and we covered it before, but we're going to cover it a little bit more in depth this time because Donald Trump is suing the BBC for not $5 billion, but $10 billion. And it's about something much bigger, something the media desperately does not want litigated in open court. Oh no, because it is bad. Once you strip away all the talking points, this lawsuit isn't about hurt feelings or some stupid political drama that seems to be like the new trend now. It's about evidence. It's about intent, and that's important. It's about whether taxpayer-funded foreign broadcaster deliberately manipulated reality to influence an American election. And I think that's why this case actually matters. I think some of you do as well. This week, Donald Trump, as we covered before, filed a 46-page federal lawsuit in Miami against the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC. There was no demand letter, no stupid press release. It was just a full federal complaint. And he was seeking $10 billion, dude, in damages. And the charges are pretty serious. So they include now defamation, election interference, violation of Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Policies Act. That's legal war, man. And he's going hard in the paint on these guys. Holy lordy. The lawsuit centers on BBC's documentary released ahead of the 2024 election titled Trump, A Second Chance. And according to the complaint, excerpts delivered nearly an hour apart, I believe it was 55 minutes or something like that. And when edited together, they created the impression that Donald Trump directly called for violence on the Capitol, which we know that that's not what happened. That impression, the lawsuit argues, is false. And by the way, I think anybody with half a brain cell that looked at that editing would come to the same conclusion. But because it's Donald Trump, what do we do here? We have to act stupid and pretend like, what? No, I don't notice that at all. Really? Because if I used AI and I did the exact same thing, but I just shuffled some things around, didn't make it Donald Trump, you would think differently. You would definitely be in agreement with Donald Trump in this lawsuit. So here's the key omission in this whole thing. The BBC documentary excluded Trump's explicit call for supporters to protest peacefully and patriotically. It wasn't something that's buried. It wasn't unclear. It wasn't even ambiguous, even though, again, the mainstream media and the Democrat Party want to make it out to be. That's the part they seem to always love to leave out. Well, how do we know they left it out? The BBC literally left it out. It was simply removed. That's how we know. And according to Trump's legal team, that omission wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. The lawsuit states that the BBC, quote, intentionally, maliciously, and deceptively doctored President Trump's speech in a brazen attempt to interfere in the 2024 presidential election. Meaning those are not casual words. They're chosen for the court. And this isn't an isolated incident either. There's a pattern here and not a mistake. And this is something that Trump's team is going to be pushing forward on. One of the most important parts of the lawsuit is what it doesn't treat as coincidence. Trump's filing argues that this wasn't a one-off editorial error. It wasn't a clerical mistake. Oh, oopsie, whoopsie-daisy, missed one. Sorry, we'll correct it. It was part of a long-standing pattern. They have a pattern of selective editing, distortion through montage, manufacturing implication without context. In other words, the argument isn't the BBC just got it wrong. Yeah, some guy screwed up. Yeah, some staffer made a oopsie. The argument is the BBC constructed a false narrative. And that distinction matters legally. Legally, it matters. And politically, but mostly the legally. Now we have to ask ourselves, well, why is Florida in play? It gets interesting. Because the case wasn't filed in like Washington, as you almost kind of expect. And it wasn't filed in New York. Donald Trump's in New York. It's filed in Florida. And to be fair, he has Mar-a-Lago there. And doing this in Florida was intentional. Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act doesn't just apply to selling products. It applies to false representations made to consumers. Trump's legal theory is simple here. So here's a few bullet points. The BBC marked a documentary as factual journalism. That product was allegedly deceptive. American consumers were misled. And the deception had real-world political consequences. That's not defamation, man. That's consumer fraud, folks. Oh, it's going in so many different directions. The documentary wasn't released randomly, meaning they're going to be talking about the timing and all of it, because with the timing of it, it kind of shows a little bit of intent as well, right? It wasn't a retrospective like years later. It wasn't some stupid academic analysis that they want us to go through. It wasn't just some popcorn-filled theatric. It dropped in the run-up to the 2024 election at the precise moment when January 6th narratives were being used as political weapons. And that timing is one of the key components, the central point to Donald Trump's case, because intent isn't proven by words alone. It's proven by context and actions. And context is unavoidable in BBC's scenario, man. If you notice something, the press is pretty quiet about all this, right? They ain't talking about, $10 billion lawsuit is not something small. I know there's a lot of news out there, but this is a doozy. What's fascinating is not just what the BBC is saying, but who isn't saying anything. Many of the same outlets that scream, defend journalism, freedom of speech, Donald Trump's trying to go full totalitarian on us. So they defend journalism when reporters are criticized and are suddenly cautious. Because if this case moves forward, and as I mentioned last time, goes into the discovery phase, it doesn't just threaten the BBC, it threatens everybody out there. It threatens the entire edit for effect model that modern political media relies on. And they'd be screwed. Would they still be able to do it? Absolutely. But now that there's precedents on this, and Donald Trump wins, you better buckle up, because he can be filing lots of lawsuits, 10 billion here. That's what's probably going to fund everything. Donald Trump will wipe out the national debt with all these lawsuits. So this is more about power. This lawsuit isn't about Donald Trump's ego. It's about whether powerful media institutions can, cut time, if they're allowed to cut context. Can they cut intent and then claim neutrality? There's no bias. Yeah, we're CNN. There's no bias. We're neutral. Sure you are. CNN still claims they're unbiased. Don't get me going. It's about whether editing can be weaponized and whether anyone can be held accountable when it is. And that's kind of the problem, is where is freedom of speech? Because freedom of speech, within that, you have a right to lie. But defamation's a whole different context, a whole different thing. You can't just make up a story about a figure that destroys their entire life. For years, Americans were told, if you don't like the coverage, too bad, that's journalism, change the channel. If you don't like it, just change the channel. There's truth to that. Now that argument is being tested in court, and for the first time in a long time, the media isn't the narrator. It's a defendant. It's Donald Trump. And oh, baby, is he doing it. So again, the update is the $5 billion moving to $10 billion now. And I don't know. I don't know if Trump will win. He might. It's going to be tough because this is international stuff. And forgive my speech. I don't want to give you guys too much TMI. But I bit the crap out of my cheek eating yesterday. It's bad. I'm sure you can hear it a little bit in my voice, like the way I'm talking. It's bad. I came so close from biting probably that big of a chunk out of my cheek inside my mouth. I would show you. I'm talking a full piece removed out of my mouth. That's how bad yesterday. It was like, honestly, it felt like biting through a marshmallow. I just grossed all you out. Surprisingly, it didn't hurt, and it doesn't hurt. My teeth are hooking onto my teeth area. It's I could actually feel the waves. It's so gross. It looks disgusting. It was bleeding so bad. Slow down, dude. You're eating. Gosh, it's like you're raising another kid. No, my mouth is just small. It's happened my entire life. It's small. Usually my fangs go through my cheeks. I just have a small mouth that, I got cheeks. All right, where are we? Not about that. But if you're curious why I'm talking a little bit weird today, that's why. Feels really, really gross. Anyways, all right. Some of you are like, God, dude, shut up. We don't need to hear that. The Mar-a-Lago raid. Okay, so we got updates on the Mar-a-Lago raid we got to give you. And this is something that some people missed that I want to rehash because this is the big news. And we want to make sure that we get this in here. And some of you weren't here, and some of you need updates, some of you forgot. The FBI knew that the Mar-a-Lago raid was not justified. And again, as I mentioned, one of the big theories of this raid itself, and we might get more information out with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, is some people believe that Donald Trump had the unclassified documents for Crossfire Hurricane. And Crossfire Hurricane showed that the three-letter agencies were used by the Obama administration to go after Donald Trump and his family. That's a very big synopsis. Very, very big synopsis. That's one of the theories. Because he was supposed to give back those classified documents and put them in the National Archives. But when the National Archive got the documents, they realized not everything was there. And it was all disjumbled and all unorganized and stuff like that. So they believe that's the rumor, is that Donald Trump allegedly has them somewhere. Is that true? I don't know. But that's the rumor mill, the conspiracy theory of why they actually went in and raided Mar-a-Lago. It wasn't for nuclear codes or all this crazy stuff. For more than 3 years, we were told a simple story about this. The FBI raided Mar-a-Lago because it had to. National security. Because Donald Trump was reckless. He was a tyrant. He's crazy. The evidence was overwhelming against the guy. That's what we were told. Do you realize how clean Donald Trump actually has to be? I mean, think about when you have the entire, not just the federal government, but you also have state governments that have looked through like everything possible, and this dude's still not in jail. Do you know how clean of an individual you have to be? Do you know how long you've had to not screw up in your life? People go, oh, he has 34 felons. Did you even look at the 34 counts? Yeah, it's bookkeeping. They're actually, what's crazy is they treat Donald Trump's felonies in more of a serious manner than they do with the guys that are actually doing actual criminal behavior, and that they're letting out back onto the streets. People have like committed like heinous crimes against other people, like harmed other people, in some cases brutally harmed people, altered their entire lives. They'll release those people out on the streets to go delete other people on trains, light them on fire, stab them in the neck, all this stuff. But then, Donald Trump's bookkeeping, clerical stuff. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. We gotta bring that one up every time. 34. Yeah. So crazy. So web. It's just baloney in my opinion. It really is. Those 34 counts are actually baloney in my opinion. So what I'm saying is Donald Trump's clean, man. Can you imagine if the IRS, right, the DOJ, the FBI, I mean, all the 3-letter agencies looked into you, your whole family, your business records, and all they were able to find, because there's always discovery, all they were able to find was you paying off a porn star that your lawyer, Cohen, allegedly like jotted down. That was it. Wow. Because according to the FBI's own words, they didn't believe the raid was legally justified in the first place. That's the key point. That's the narrative. That was coming from the inside. And here's what the FBI actually thought. Messages released from inside the FBI reveal something extraordinary. Agents involved in the classified documents investigation believe that the search warrants from Mar-a-Lago lacked proper predicate. Predicate means justification for those that were curious, because I actually did not. I didn't really know when I was doing show prep. I just had trouble linking it. What's going on, Joshua? Yeah, Dan Bongino might be out. Yeah, but we've heard that before, so I don't know, but he might be. According to those messages, agents didn't think that foundation existed for the FBI to be able to go in. Well, the DOJ pushed it anyways. Despite the concerns, Biden's Justice Department pushed forward. The raid happened anyway. August 2022, armed agents, national television, a freaking political earthquake and a political stunt. And inside the FBI, agents were already worried that they were being dragged into something that wasn't about law enforcement anymore. Really? It took you that long to realize that all of a sudden that everything was targeted to go after Donald Trump and his family? That this wasn't just about doing the right thing? Really? That's what woke you up to being confused? Hey, maybe some people just don't want to believe it. The internal messages don't just talk about probable cause either. What they do is they describe a combative relationship that Biden DOJ had initiated with Trump's legal team. Agents expressed that the FBI was being placed directly between DOJ leadership and Trump's lawyers, not as neutral investigators, but as instruments of escalation. What that means in plain English, by the way, is that they didn't want to be muscle for a political fight, basically. Normally, when federal law enforcement believes evidence is weak, you slow down. Simmer down is what we say on Dark MAGA. You throw a subpoena out there, you negotiate, you narrow the scope down, and you avoid a spectacle. We don't talk about investigations. Then why'd you broadcast it on national television, the Mar-a-Lago raid, while it was happening? Right? Yeah, we don't want to get into it. We don't want any spill, right? It's behind closed doors. We don't talk about investigations. Right? That's something we always hear. Why'd you broadcast it? Why'd you put it everywhere? You don't send agents into a former president's house, his residence, unless the case is airtight. But they told us it was airtight. Turns out it wasn't. Even your own agents think it wasn't airtight. Why does it matter now? Well, because the Mar-a-Lago case led to indictments. Those indictments collapsed. The special counsel disappeared. Remember Jack Smith? The charges evaporated. And now we learn that the doubts existed before the raid ever happened. And that changes everything. Because now, hopefully some people go bye-bye called jail. Nothing will happen, though. Nothing ever happens, right? That's always the theme. We cover the news. We say, oh, yeah, some laws were broken. Some people did some heinous stuff. Nothing happens to them. Something will happen to us all the time. Yeah, we'll get thrown behind bars, but no, nobody else. So what this is about is whether federal law enforcement can be pressed into action it believes is unjustified. Unjustified. Is DOJ leadership allowed to override internal warnings, and whether raids can be used as political messaging tools? That was the big narrative with the media, was that you're opening a door, because it's never happened before. You're opening a door where going after sitting presidents is going to be kind of the norm. Unless, of course, you always have the Republicans coming in trying to take the high ground. Democrats, they don't matter. So whoever comes in next, they're just going to go after them too. It's a normal thing with that party. Well, Donald Trump's going after his political opponents. Yeah, but the difference is his political opponents actually did some shady stuff. No. Good to see all of you. Yeah, so some people are mentioning Dan Bongino might be out. That is the rumor mill. Let me kind of look. Allegedly, there's supposed to be a press conference today or tomorrow, and people are kind of hinting that Dan Bongino is going to step down. This was a rumor mill before, but let me see what's going on here. So this is kind of the news as of 42 minutes ago. Let me get on the screen for all of you. There we go. So FBI Deputy Dan Bongino may step down soon. Reports from the New York Times and others indicate Bongino could leave his role as early as this week or mid-January 2026. He joined the FBI in March. Neither Bongino nor the FBI has confirmed the rumors amid ongoing speculation about his return to podcasting and the Bureau's reforms under new leadership. His time included an announcement. So that's pretty much it. But this is not necessarily news. He was going to step down allegedly before. He was pretty heated with dealing with Pam Bondi. And I think he's also bothered that there's not really much being done. And he doesn't have the power to do it. And I know that feeling. When nobody wants to listen to you, and you know there's a lot of corruption that's happening or just kind of nothing happening at all. What you left a cash cow podcast. The guy was one of the biggest podcasters in the world. And by the way, we do need him back. We need him back in that seat big time. But to go and deal with that crap, he's probably like, this isn't worth it. There's no change happening. And I think he's seen some dark stuff. I think he's seen, and I'm not talking just like dark, like Hollywood dark. I'm talking about he's seen how corrupt everything is. And I think it shook him. And my speculation from this comes not just from some bogus, let me just connect the dots. This comes from Tim Burchett's been talking about this recently. I don't see Tim Burchett lasting because he's fed up with the whole organization, the whole system. He's talked a lot about this, but also Trey Gowdy and Jason Chaffetz. So Trey Gowdy's from South Carolina, I want to say, congressman from South Carolina, kind of headed the oversight committee for the Benghazi with Hillary Clinton. And then you also have Jason Chaffetz. Both are now on Fox News, Trey Gowdy, Jason Chaffetz. Jason Chaffetz is the congressman from Utah, also used to be the oversight chairman as well. Two of my main guys, love those guys. Could count on them, man. Actual real guys that care about this country. But they spoke about stuff like that. But you have to go through a lot of information to kind of get to those little hidden gems. That's a lot of reading and a lot of just kind of pulling sentences here and there of them talking about it. I'll be honest. If I was Dan, I'd get the hell out. I would. I think a part of it has to do with the Epstein stuff. And I hope when he comes out, I don't think he'll do it. I hope he blows the lid on all this. There's only one way he can come back to podcasting, I think, and actually people would respect him again. People expected more from Dan. I will still watch. I support Dan big time. But as far as like, if I was to give advice, like if I was running his show and I was producing it, he has to come out and give some bombshell stuff. That way you get people back and trust. You have to give people something to trust in you again. He's lost a lot of trust with people because look at the Epstein stuff. I mean, that is one of the main things. He was somebody that broke the lid on all these things. He'll be able to talk about the RNC DNC pipe bomber. That gives a little bit of credibility because he's somebody that talked about that a lot. He'll be able to. I mean, the Epstein thing is going to really hurt his credibility, man. Probably NDAs will be signed. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he already signed a bunch of stuff going into that role. And by the way, he doesn't even need to sign NDAs. I mean, a lot of that stuff, if it's classified, he can't talk about it anyways. So it doesn't matter. Sorry, I won't watch Dan. He lied to people in his podcast. Oh, I love Dan. I that's fine. I mean, I don't think he lied. In my opinion, I don't think he did. I'm sure that there was some lies here or there. I don't think that was intentional. I love the guy's show. I think he has one of the best podcasts out there. I listen to him every morning when his show is, or when his show after my show, I listen to his. And what was cool, again, forgive me for my speech. I'm trying not to drool. It's bad, you guys. Is when we were streaming. So we streamed at the RNC. That's a big deal, man. We're a small channel. And shout out to Dylan over at Rumble for always taking care of us. He had us on a big old screen at the RNC, the Republican National Convention where Donald Trump was at. So it went like us. So we were streaming right here. And then Steven Crowder was streaming right next to us. And then we had Donald Trump Jr. So we were at the RNC, which is pretty cool. And shout out to Dylan was talking to Bongino's team about our channel, which was kind of cool. So that was pretty awesome. That was a big moment for podcasting. Turning the other cheek is to be bigger person scenarios. The full armor of God is for evil. Yeah, that's true. Ephesians. I think it's Ephesians chapter 5. Some people forget that I read the Bible. All righty, where were we? Let's get back to the news here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the other big thing is Michigan football. We used to cover a lot of things that were kind of outside politics. I mean, there's always political components to every story, I suppose. But I want to look at this because I guess this scandal is in a full-blown institutional crisis over there. So the University of Michigan isn't just dealing with the fallout from a disgraced head football coach anymore. Now, I guess the entire athletic department is under investigation. This is crazy. And it tells you the story is bigger than just one person. Because last week, Michigan fired head coach, was it Shuron? Is that the guy's name? Moore? After revelations surfaced about an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. Really? You fired the head coach for hooking up with somebody? All right. That alone would have been damaging enough. Well, who is the staffer? Maybe I'm missing, like, I don't know this story at all. Like, at all. So the guy, I mean, is he married? Was that the issue? The guy was hooking up with the staffer? Talk about a head coach of a big football organization. We're supposed to be shocked that the guy was hooking up with probably a rocket. Again, we have to act stupid. Oh, I can't believe the guy did it. There's a great bit by Bill Burr. And he talks about Tiger Woods. You know, Tiger Woods was hooking up with like some other lady. And he said, you know, does anybody else have to deal with that when you're on the 18th hole and you got a busload of women just wanting to just ride you? I mean, I'm sorry to be a little bit explicit, but it's true. Like, guys struggle with temptation and lust and all that other stuff. It's all easy to sit back and go, oh, you know, that guy, and judge him. I would imagine how many women are, I don't know what the guy looks like or anything. I can barely read his damn name, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, well. Whoa, okay, but now things got a little crazy here. Okay, so, okay. Everybody settle down, come back together, let's regroup. Michigan fired the head football coach, right? We're going to call his last name Moore. I guess he hooked up with the staffer. But now Moore has been arrested, escalating the situation from embarrassment to criminal concern and forcing the university's hand here. Wow. I guess the university is in full-blown panic mode. Did anybody hear about this story? Let me know in the chat. In response, the University of Michigan has commissioned a wide-ranging investigation into the culture and practices of its entire athletic department. Oh, come on. Ugh. That seems a little bit silly. Universities don't take this step unless leadership believes there may be systemic failures, ignored cultural warning signs, or a culture that enabled misconduct. Yeesh. The investigation will be handled by the same Chicago-based law firm that earlier this fall was brought in to investigate Moore's relationship. It suggests that the initial inquiry uncovered deeper concerns, or the university wants consistency and plausible deniability as the scope expands. Either way, the firm already knows where the bodies might be buried. That's a figure of speech, by the way. Figure of speech. Okay. what signs here are happening at Michigan internally? Our universities don't authorize department-wide probes lightly. This move signals that Michigan's leadership is worried about oversight failures, reporting breakdowns, or whether this is key, other inappropriate relationships or misconduct ignored or were normalized. Okay, so Michelle's saying he broke into the woman's apartment and threatened to delete himself in front of her with butter knives. It sounds so outlandish that it might actually be true. That's crazy. Joshua says, you think your enemy stops hitting you because you turned your cheek. But, all right, you go around some other stuff. I think people are arguing in the chat. That's always fun. The media is lying about him. I don't know what. Okay, I'm going to stay. The chat, I'm away. I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. I got to stay focused here. Leave me alone. All right, the stakes for Michigan here. Michigan athletics isn't sports. That's a huge revenue. That's a huge recruiting mechanism for them as well. You have donors throwing just boatloads of cash at this place. So basically their national reputation's kind of on the line. Investigators find that Moore's behavior was known, overlooked, or quietly tolerated. The consequences won't stop with one firing. No, I mean, you're going to have administrators gone, whole staffs, compliance officers, freaking athletic directors getting removed. I mean, it would be carving out an entire, I don't say industry, but entire segment of the university. Because again, if it was quietly tolerated, which a lot of this stuff is, oh boy. Now, again, I don't know what he was arrested for. According to what we have here, I don't know if Michelle's being legitimate or not. We joke around a lot in the chat, but let me see here. Let's see if I can find some more information on this guy. Let's see. See what we got here. Okay, more. Okay, so it says that he knocked. Okay, I'll take this with a grain of salt. Let's see what we have. Okay, so he lost his head coaching job on December 10th after an investigation found evidence of his affair with executive assistant Paige Shiver. Hours later, police arrested him for allegedly. Okay, here we go. Michelle has it. Allegedly forcing his way into her apartment to confront her, facing felony home invasion and misdemeanor stalking charges with the court date set for January 22nd. Harbaugh, who once handed Moore the Michigan program before joining the Chargers, texted support urging focus on wife Kelly and three young children who stood by him publicly outside his lawyer's office. Oh, man. So this is I think this is his wife, and this is him, and then his kid. That's tough. Let's see what this guy has to say.
In the coaching fraternity gang at some point. Now the issue is you ain't got no buddies in the coaching fraternity gang. At some point, game gets handed down. And I'm gonna be real with you. There is nobody who I think is more about football to not follow the blueprint on. If you're gonna act like this, it's Jim Harbaugh, gang. Like Jim is football, glasses of milk, and family. So you didn't even have a player above you that you could be like, okay, this is how you play it, right?
That is real talk. You asked Jim Harbaugh for some advice on that. Jim Harbaugh's advice is, have you thought about being faithful to your wife? Focus, motherfucker.
Also, before your wife, football might be more important too.
Man. Miriam says he was having a nervous breakdown, a mental crisis. They arrested him to place him under, I can't say that word on YouTube, but, Spurzheidel watch. I guess he's talking about deleting himself. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at because I have to freaking use stupid language because YouTube, all these social media platforms are just really screwing us. Either way, couldn't they have, what's that thing for the psychology guys? It's like, not 504. What's that code that you give people when you want to put them on watch? Oh God. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like 540 or 54. You know what? You guys, you'll figure it out. You guys know what the hell I'm talking about. You're always able to figure me out. All right, let's get into a little bit of Let's just scroll for a little bit here. I have more news to cover, but I want to, yeah, 51. Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. Miriam's coming in hot today. Miriam's on it, man. All right. I guess there's more jobs that the federal government lost nearly 160,000 jobs, 1,000 workers in just 1 month. Holy lordy. Here we go.
And if you do that, then you're looking at private sector gains of about 120,000, maybe 121. And then we dropped about 160,000 government workers, federal government workers, who are the people who took the buyout that, we began that program in the spring and gave people to the fall to step aside. And so I think that from the private sector point of view, it's just about what we've been getting all year. It's solid upward trajectory. The president's private sector job creation since he took office about 700,000 jobs. And so I think that, like the vast majority of the Bloomberg people polled were surprised on the upside. And I think that we were surprised kind of not at all. We think it's about on trend is what's happening.
This is the guy that I think talks to Trump a lot. The moment this guy got in with Trump, Trump started talking nasally. And I think Donald Trump likes the way this guy talks because now Trump is doing a little nasally too, like this guy is. I'll tell you what, I like Pete Hegseth. I know I bring it up all the time, but it's just funny to me that Donald Trump never used to talk like that until this guy stepped in. And now Donald Trump has that nasally talk like this guy does. Oh, boy. So Democrats are panicked about what's to come in 2026 as major Trump policies will take effect. Here we go. Buckle up.
Over time, there's a max reduction for tips. It's $25,000. So imagine if you are somebody who uses tips as part of your salary or to make your living, that will have an impact. The senior deduction, you have to be 65.
The other one's here. So for no tax on tips or overtime, the max deduction for tips is $25,000. Individual deduction for overtime is $12,500. Phases out for high earners. So I don't know what the phase out is for the high earners. Something I have to look into. She's about to get into senior deduction. Here we go. This is for a lot of you. We have an older crowd here. Okay. We got a lot of senior citizens. For you freaking, you old people. You must be 65. All right. Now, if you're a Democrat, can I just bring something up here? If you're a Democrat and you fully believe that you could change your sex from male to female, why can't you change your age? Because you know that you're a female in a male's body, right? You were born that way. You know that. I feel like I'm 65. That's how I feel. Playing 20 plus years of hockey every day, my body feels like I'm 65. Well, Brad, how do you know what it feels like to be 65? You're not 65. Come here. Come here. Exactly. Anyways, why can't I say I'm 65? Why? Why can't I be a black lesbian dwarf who's 65 and I want to start claiming Social Security now? You can't tell me what I'm not. You have no right to tell me how I feel inside. You have no right. You need to take vitamins. All righty.
5 years old, it phases out at $75,000. But again, for people who are saying gas prices, which are lower, but that food prices are higher, that it's hard for them, that might help as well. There's a no tax on car loan interest. Now, that can be helpful, but what might be even more helpful.
I like this idea, but I also think it's a stupid idea. And I'll tell you why. Because this incentivizes bad behavior. You should never finance a vehicle. There's disagreements on that, by the way. That some people say, well, if you can finance a vehicle at 4%, and I can make 8% in the market, and instead of dropping that money there, I can make more return during the lifespan of that loan that's been amortized than I would if I just bought the car outright. Like, I get the mathematics on that, but you have to remember, most people can't even do the math like that. No, most people don't even think remotely like that. You have to go with what general people are doing, which is why it's called personal finance. Most people can't do this. I think this incentivizes bad behavior. I really do.
Is what they announced last week, which is they're doing away with some of the EPA rules on these car and fuel mileage. That actually will help bring the cost of cars down, probably even more. And then a child.
There's a key note there, though. Did you see that? I'm going to go back. Did you see that key note? Auto must be assembled in the U.S. to get that tax deduction. I think it's going to offset the income for your taxable income.
Cost of cars down, probably even more. And then a child tax credit expansion. That's very bipartisan. A lot of people like this.
Okay, let's look at this. Increases 10% from... Somebody's better know. I mean, this would have dropped to 500 if this didn't go through. Do you remember? And then it went to, now it's 2,000, now it's 2,200. This is what I think should be more. Dude, 2,200 tax credit for a child? It's also the whole, now that a lot of Americans, I think this is something that they need to revisit here. I believe this is on a state level, though, is you get a renter's credit. For the state of California, the renter's credit, if you meet the threshold, is only like $60. Most people rent, by the way. But, the government wants their damn money. Yep.
A lot of people love to see good economic news, but I would say Josh Holmes, our next guest here. Josh, you know communications very well. To me, economic communications is one of the hardest things. If the economy is great, everyone feels it. If it doesn't feel so great, it's hard to convince people that it's going so well. One question for you. How important is it to find the right ratio for President Trump to say, look what I inherited from President Biden, but also to look ahead at what's to come?
Yeah, well, listen, I think President Trump is doing exactly what he needs to do in terms of getting out there and selling this. You cannot let Democrats frame an affordability debate.
Did I not mention that's where everything is going? That is going to be the conversation. When midterms happen, it's going to be all about affordability. We did an hour-long podcast talking about how that's Donald Trump's messaging, his communication. He needs to be on top of it. And by the way, we talked about reports there in the White House where staffers were begging him not to go and do a victory tour. He's going to do an affordability tour, and that's why Fox News is talking about this here, because he's doing great stuff. He really is doing nice things. But the perception of how Americans feel, they still have the pre-COVID idea, and they think that we're going to go back to that. That's never been a thing. Is it possible? Sure. But the possibility of that happening where we're going back to pre-COVID is you would need to have an economic crash like you had with the Great Recession of 2008. That's the type of stuff that you would have to see for us to go back to pre-COVID level where the pricing drops to that drastic of a shift. Nobody wants that. If you go back to the old shows that we did about, a year ago during the election cycle, we were talking that Donald Trump's goal should not be to necessarily drop prices. For some things you can, right? The gas, and there's certain areas where you could because they were so inflated. But overall, your job was just to stagnate everything. That was the end goal here. And that's pretty much what he's done. And he's dropped in, gas prices and some energy prices and stuff and egg prices. But Americans aren't feeling it. It doesn't matter. You could do the best job possible. It just shows you that many people across this country run on emotion and feelings. By the way, and that is very scary. I've never been that way. I try my best to run my life off logic and reason. I fall short, and that's because that logic and reason, sometimes there's a disconnect. And there's obviously ignorance that plays a part into that. But I don't run my life off emotions. You have to remove that. Because your emotions, you'll have what's called hedonic adaptation, right? Hedonic adaptation, for those that don't know, is where you have an up of happiness. And that could be in the form of buying a product or a service or something nice happened in your day. Maybe some guy that you thought was hot said that you looked good, or some gal, gave you a little bit of a wink. Whatever, I'm being silly, but you know what I mean. So hedonic adaptation, you're at a peak, right? You're feeling really good. But then over time, what happens is that goes down. Everybody deals with hedonic adaptation, it's psychological. And then you need something to get you that up again. And you're just going through a roller coaster. So your emotions are honestly always going up and down, even for guys, by the way, not as dramatic as girls. They've actually tracked this where girls are like this multiple times a day, where guys are just like a couple bumps in the road. And that doesn't mean anything negative with women. I mean, everybody knows that's a thing. I grew up with women.
On tips and overtime.
But people are going to, make irrational decisions off their emotions. I'm safe. I have no emotions or feelings. Geez, Candy. Yeah. Candy, we call those psychos. They're serial killers. You guys, isn't it fun? We could joke around with each other because, you know, the left, we wouldn't be able to joke, right? I wouldn't be able to call Candy, who's been a long time viewer of the show. By the way, I think it's happy belated birthday. I think your birthday was a while ago, Candy, like a month or two ago. Happy birthday, by the way. What was I going to say? Is that I could call her a serial killer and a psycho because I know she's not obviously a serial killer and psycho. To be fair, I actually don't know. I'm gambling, but I think we could joke with each other. All right, where are we at here? Okay, so Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. This is one of those times where I don't feel like giving myself a pat on the back, but, you know, it's usually due. Nobody else is going to give me one. I said that this guy was just going to be a Lori Lightfoot just as a male. And that's exactly what it's turned out to be. The guy sucks. These idiots over there in Chicago got upset because they voted for a leftist idiot called Lori Lightfoot. And they were completely baffled that when the leftist idiot initiated idiotic policies that had idiotic outcomes that affected the idiots that actually voted in the idiot, they were completely baffled. So what did they do? The idiots voted in another idiot. What'd they expect? Well, they expected different. It's so stupid, dude. Yeah, it's laughable. It's hilarious. It's so... I love to people watch. Look, I'm an idiot. I am not better than anybody else. I say that outright. I'm not holier than thou. I'm a sinful man. All that stuff. I am not, and I've always said that, but it doesn't mean that I can't people watch and look and just watch the stupid, idiotic behavior that people do. It's hilarious to me. I love, there's a place, it's called MAGA country, but Huntington Beach. I used to go down there when I was in college and, you know, I'd go to the bar, have a drink or whatever, but I would just sit outside because back then you'd have all the UFC fighters down there in Huntington because Tito Ortiz had a restaurant down there. So you get like Chuck Liddell, Ken Shamrock, all those guys down there. And then you got a lot of no-namers as well. And then people would try to fight them in the middle of Main Street down there in the boulevard. And you get to watch people get their ass beat. It was a good time. It was free fights. And by the way, no gloves. So anyways, I love that people watch. People make silly decisions. But anyways, Brandon Johnson here, humiliated by a reporter after failing to name a single company that supports his proposed head tax, which charges businesses a monthly fee per employee to fund community safety. I'm going to say that again. Some of you spit out your coffee. You swerved on the road. Do you understand why I said idiots vote for an idiot that pushes through idiotic things that penalize the other idiots that voted for the idiot? He's proposing a head tax. It charges businesses a monthly fee per employee to fund community safety. Folks, J.B. Pritzker just released 1,800 illegal convicted criminals. Not might be criminal, maybe's a criminal. Convicted. And we broke down what they did, their heinous crimes. And now... Oh, it's so good. These idiots are releasing criminals onto the street that makes it less safe. And then they go... I told you they always want their money. What a great scam this is. Holy shit. I'm sorry to cuss. They release criminals with all these priors, illegal aliens that committed all these crimes. And then they go, oh shit, guess what? Well, we don't have enough money for public safety. Well, we're going to tax all of you guys so that we can increase public safety while not increasing public safety. Oh, dude, this is an incredible scam.
Talked with us a number of times about how when you talk to the business community, their number one focus is safety downtown, that they aren't blinking at this head tax. I'm wondering if you have any...
I realize you guys can hear it, but you can't see it. Sorry, my bad. We'll go back. Hey, simmer down.
You have talked with us a number of times about how when you talk to the business community, their number one focus is safety downtown, that they aren't...
Hand to God, I'm sorry. If you're just listening, can you look at your screen really quick? I have to make this observation. We got a lot of lurkers, then that's okay. Tell me this guy doesn't look like a bald Cedric the Entertainer. Okay.
Blinking at this head tax. I'm wondering if you have any examples of CEOs or CFOs who are in support, people who would be in the category that we're now talking about, the headcount number. Any examples of CEOs or CFOs who say, I'm on board?
Well, I don't have any examples of CEOs who are not on board.
But can you give us an example of one that is?
Well, I mean, I guess we could draw the conclusion that all of them are, because none of them have said that they're opposed to it. Have you heard a CEO come to you and say that we do not support? Name one CEO that has said out loud that they don't support investing in community safety.
Well, an executive of McDonald's put an op-ed in the street.
He's not a CEO.
Oh my God. Can you name somebody? Yeah, well, there was an executive.
Oh,
Okay, but that's an example of the corporate community pushing back. I'm just asking you, as the mayor, can you give us an example of one that is?
what I can tell you is this, that the people of Chicago, because listen, I'm not going to respond to one CEO. 74, 75%, as high as 80% of Chicagoans support challenging these big corporations to pay their fair share in taxes. Who should I respond to? 80% of the people of Chicago or one individual that has not come forward yet?
What a scam, dude. I don't, hey, tax them up the you know what, man, because you know what happens? Stagnates wages, gets passed on to the consumer, and doesn't change anything about public safety. You know all it is? These idiots, all it does is screw them over. And by the way, the government benefits them because the government's like, hey, we're getting more taxes from this. Oh, it's gonna go to community safety. Sure it is. Yeah, you know who said the same thing? Black Lives Matter. Man, that did a great thing for the black community. These idiots just vote for anything. Higher taxes, pay your fair share. Never sees it any change. Chicago hasn't seen a Republican in decades upon decades. Nobody in their lifetime here in the chat, nor myself, has ever witnessed a Republican over there in Chicago. And you know who they blame? Orange Cheeto man, Donald Trump. Oh, look what he's doing. I love it. Oh. This is why you can't it affects people in a negative way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it really does affect people. But it also is hilarious at the same time. Because look, if you take this and you look at this as raw evil, which kind of, in my opinion, it is. But if you can't laugh about it, man, politics will just be dark in your life. It really, really, you have to laugh about it. Because if you don't, like I said, it's going to eat you away. You wouldn't be able to do this each and every day. I have to laugh about it. Surprisingly, the guy that we were so wrong about, which is Fetterman, is out here supporting Donald Trump's Venezuela strikes on these cartel boats. I've never been so wrong about an individual. Like, I actually owe this guy an apology, by the way. This is not the only thing that he's been right on. He's one of the most sane Democrats. We were all wrong about this guy, because I remember we used to all rip this guy like, dude, they can't even talk correctly. How are they going to vote for this knucklehead?
What did you learn, Senator, that gave you any comfort that we're not heading into some kind of extended military exercise around Venezuela or in Venezuela?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was pretty comprehensive, and this idea, some things out in the media, it's kind of putting out this that the military is just picking off any boat that comes across. That's just not true. I mean, there's extensive intelligence.
Of course, it's not true. Thank you, John.
And they know exactly who's on that boat, and they know what's actually on that boat right now. And it's quite frequently they decline to take it and to move on those things. When they move on those kinetic kinds of strikes, they have absolute confidence that who's on it and what's on it, and that's exactly what it's about. They're not just going around randomly just shooting boats in those things. That's just not the fact at all.
So what did you learn?
Wow. The guy that we all thought wouldn't have common sense because unfortunately his brain wasn't working. And it's not his fault, by the way. His brain works great. And my question would be for the rest of the Democratic Party, what happened to you? Because this guy's like speaking common sense to me, you know? We've never been more wrong. Name another person in the chat, you guys, that we've been more wrong about than John Fetterman. I can't think of one. I tell you, look, I'm wrong all the time. But this one, I don't know. All right, let's see what else we have here in the news really quickly. I have too much fun with you guys. I hope you know that. It should be illegal how much fun I have with you. It really should. Oh, I wanted to talk about this here. I can get rid of that and get rid of that. Okay, so the U.S. District Judge Richard Leon denied a temporary restraining order from historic preservation advocates. These are the, these are the simps, right? These are the people that sew their heads to carpets and their ass cheeks to the asphalt, and you have to drive around them rather than plowing right through them. Allowing construction of a 90,000 square foot ballroom in the East Wing to continue. The project fully privately funded at an estimated $400 million. So you have Barack Obama that takes taxpayer dollars to build a stupid ass basketball court for like, I think double this. We're privately funding this thing, building a huge ballroom that seats like insane, like 650 guests. Look at that. With secure features like thick glass windows, potentially accommodating inauguration indoors. Critics argue it bypasses required environmental reviews for the historic site, while supporters see it as needed upgrade. Jimmy Raskin introduced a bill for independent oversight, and work is set for 2028 completion. Which is, I would imagine they're trying to do that in case the inauguration needs to be inside for security purposes, because you got a bunch of lunatic lefties out there that want to delete people. By the way, that goes on the right-hand side of the aisle, too. There's just more lunatics than the left. He won't be a demo for long. I don't know. Maybe. He might move away like with, like we saw from JFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. He might move away from the Democrat Party. Dude had a stroke and it knocked common sense into him. Jeez, Miss Mom. But here's the crazy thing. You actually might be right. You ever heard of those people that go into a coma and they come out speaking a whole nother language, or like they're a savant with the piano? He just got the common sense side of it. Holy crap, that's hilarious. God, you guys are ruthless, man. You know, sometimes I think I'm a jerk, but you guys are like next level. But it's funny. Joshua, that's what students reported, he said, but the media refuses to report it. Craig says, how is it that when Muslims commit heinous crimes, the result is government wanting to take guns away from everyone who had nothing to do with the crimes? Yep. Well, it's because you have to have equity, Craig. Yeah, you got to treat everybody equally. Yeah, you can't treat people different nowadays. Yeah, even though everybody should be treated differently because everybody does everything differently. That's the new norm. Let me see what else we have here for all of you. Let's go back to the news. There's supposed to be a huge announcement today. Let me see if I could get any information on that for you. There's supposed to be an announcement by Donald Trump. Announcement today. Let me see here. 14 hours ago. It's either today or tomorrow. Some people were talking on social media about some big announcement that Donald Trump had scheduled. And the idea was it was about maybe Dan Bongino possibly exiting the FBI, which again, I wouldn't blame him. All right, well, let's cleanse our palate here with Scott Jennings, then we'll be done.
Say, hold on a second, do we want to start another war?
Good question. Well, I don't think it's very America first to let a narco-terrorist state with an illegitimate government that's aligned with China and Russia and Iran do things in our hemisphere that we don't like with drugs or anything else. I don't think we like it that they're trying to go into Guyana right now and take over their oil either. And so the president's position has always been, this is the Western Hemisphere. We're going to police it. And we don't even recognize these guys as a legitimate government. And so he's trying to bring about a situation where the worst people in the hemisphere are not enriching themselves, not distributing drugs. And if we wind up with a legitimately elected government there that's aligned with the United States instead of Russia, China, and Iran, that's America first.
I'd love to add some facts to this.
I see you leaning in, John.
Yeah,
so
thank you so
Yeah, I'd love for you to button your tie too, but we're not going to get any facts from this guy in the same way we're not going to get him tying up and buttoning up straight.
much.
as well, say.
Sorry, I was being a jerk. So I guess he is, Miss Mom says he's got something for tonight. Matt Morris is covering it live tonight. Okay, well, there you go. All right. Well, I guess there is going to, here's the thing, and this is kind of me pushing back on Donald Trump, is he has so many of these that I actually don't know what's important and what isn't. And I'm not going to listen to and that might be his strategy. It's just, you got to listen to everything to figure out what's important. But I don't think all these Oval Office announcements and doing this from the Oval, it really does diminish when there's big news. Whenever a president used to do something from the Oval, you knew something big happened. And that's when everybody tunes in. I don't think it's a good communication strategy to do this because I don't watch him. And I'm a huge Donald Trump fan. I don't even watch him anymore. I'm like, okay, he's just doing another Oval Office thing. He's going to just bring in Apple CEO or some other guy, Sam Altman or whatever. I don't know. It's a terrible communication strategy, by the way. It really is. It's great for the press, but for average Joe Americans, we don't watch that stuff all the time. And I'm in this every single day. Anyway, that's my opinion. Not everybody has to agree with it, but it's what it is. I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Oh, okay. God, it must be something big then, right? Everyone's talking about it's a nightly one. We'll see. I'll look into it, kind of see if I can ask some people behind the scenes that work at the White House what the hell's going on here. And if it's something big, then maybe I'll cover it. I don't know. Alrighty, well, I got to go to work. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for listening to me through my slurred speech that I kind of have because I bit through my cheek. Yeah, I'm going to keep bringing it up. And we'll be back here tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We might be back here tonight. Hell, if it's a big presser, we might actually be covering it live ourselves. And but, we'll see. If you see me live, then you see me live. If you don't, well, suckers, then you'll see me tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. bright and early. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And I hope all of you have a blessed day and have a great day. Take care, Patriots.